We all grew up kind of thinking Islam is all about like murder, murder, kill, kill. And I think a lot of times like the Israeli side, the Jewish position tries to put the blood on everybody else's hands. The British, the Romans, the Palestinians, other Arabs. I think as Jews we're kind of brought up like wanting to hide and run away from people.
Now that Israel has the power, it is failing to use that power to correct the situation. That is a critique that I constantly talk about Israel. Like, yes, you're not the cause of this, but you could be the cause of ending this.
My question would be, like, let's say, so Jews get kicked out of Judea, and then some of them move to, like, Rome, and then some end up in Russia. Some of them obviously do intermarry with Russian populations. That's why a Russian Jew is going to look a lot more Russian than a Yemeni Jew who's going to look a lot more Yemeni.
There's also rape and other things that
exactly,
take back
mixing,
there.
Whatever, consensual or not, it's mixing, you know what I mean? So I think a lot of people would find like contention in the presentation of all Jews are indigenous to Israel.
Indigeneity doesn't come from the individual. Indigeneity comes from a collective.
Sure.
So it's not because you find one individual that had converted and has no Jewish ancestry that makes them not indigenous. They're only indigenous because they belong to the collective that is indigenous. And each indigenous peoples has their own ways in determining who is a part of that people and not. The definition of indigeneity is a pre-colonial first peoples of that land that maintain a constant presence on that land, and that a governing body of that people chooses to self-identify with that term.
Okay.
So the Jewish people fit all three of those definitions.
Yeah.
We are the pre-colonial identity first peoples of the land. There was always a Jewish presence on the land, even though the majority were displaced. And there is a governing body that voted to self-identify for the Jewish people in 2010. So that's what I'm saying by indigeneity.
Okay, I think I can agree with that 100%. I think a lot of times like the Israeli side, the Jewish position tries to put the blood on everybody else's hands. The British, the Romans, the Palestinians, other Arabs. These conversations, I hear them on the internet, I hear them in person. A lot of like Israel advocacy is like very isolated on positive aspects of our people, and we forget to look at all the negatives.
So what I would say is that if we look at the origins of why this conflict happened, I do believe it's the British that created this divide. But now that we're here, now that Israel has the power, it is failing to use that power to correct the situation. That is a critique that I constantly talk about Israel. Like, yes, you're not the cause of this, but you could be the cause of ending this. You've allowed Hamas to take power for over 10 years and to brainwash people and to lead them into this situation. You've allowed this situation to continue. So there is a responsibility there. It's not to say blame.
Or say Israel perpetuates the conflict in like self-interest.
I do think that not solving the conflict does help politicians maintain their electoral position, given that they run off of security. So to run off of security, it would be beneficial to have insecurity. I don't think that they go and create the policies of insecurity, but I do think in a way, whether it's conscious or not, that it's beneficial for them to maintain it. I also think that the structure within Israel is built for division and short-term thinking, not built for unity and long-term thinking of solving situations.
My family's from like Jerusalem from 500 years ago, and so I do relate to Palestinian people. A lot of like Israel advocacy on the internet tries to demonize Palestinians as like colonizers from Saudi Arabia, which is just factually incorrect. You
I
know
agree.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
there were people from Arabia and Egyptians that poured in, but the majority of Palestinians descend from Jews that were forced to convert to Islam and Christianity. And they have a connection to the land, and their desire to connect with Jerusalem is real, and it's coming from the same desire that we have. And so I think if we had more of those conversations on both sides, it would remove the delegitimization that is happening on both. Because then it would place Palestinians as, oh, you actually descend from Jews, it means you have a true connection here. And Jews, you're not foreign white Europeans who came into this land either. We both have a connection, we both have a place, and if you break down the aspirations that both Palestinians and Israelis have, they don't actually contradict. And so there is a way for us to move forward, and the only way for us to move forward is to live together on that land, not to divide it and not to attack each other.
yeah, I agree with you. No problem there. Yeah, cool.
Sure, I appreciate you being more nuanced than the average person.
Yeah, I've been watching your videos for like 5 years or something.
I create my contents to try to give more nuance to all people who experience it, but also many Jews who were not raised with the confidence to be able to stand up for themselves.
That's like the main thing that I like appreciate about this style of like engagement with the public, because I think as Jews we're kind of brought up like wanting to hide and run away from people.
Yeah, a lot of trauma.
Yeah, I think something we should do in the Jewish community is to educate Jews on Islam and like the positivity of Islam, because Islam in America and in Israel is looked at as like jihadists, terrorists, that's it. We all grew up kind of thinking Islam is all about like murder, murder, kill, kill.
Well, I would say they don't go deep enough into Islam. First of all, they confuse the hadith for the Quran. The hadith is like the Talmud. There are opinions of different scholars. When you look at the Quran, there's two names that it uses for our people. It's either Bani Israel, right, the children of Israel, or Yahud, the Jews. Every single time the story is talking about our character as Bani Israel, it's always making us united, empowered, fulfilling the aspirations of Hashem, doing what we need to do. And every time it's talking about us in the name of Yahud, it's Jews that are divided, sinning, bad people. And so what we see is within the Quran, it's almost like a built-in system within Muslims that whenever they experience us, they see us as people who are divided and going against our potential, going against God and going against making unity in this world, they're going to react to us in a very negative way. And that whenever we're actually united and fulfilling that purpose, they'll support us and go with us.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Hello.
My name's Josiah.
Nice to meet you, Akhi.